Hey, okay, here comes part 2. So now I'm going to get into a little bit more of actually shooting, and the way that I'm going to tell you is on aperture priority mode. And if you look at your little dial, you Canon users, I think yours says AV, but Nikon is A, and what that is you are going to set your aperture, and then your camera is going to decide what the other settings need to be based off of what you've told it the aperture is going to be. And one important thing to do is to figure out how to change these settings on your camera. And I know with some, I looked out because I have 2 different dials, one that changes my aperture and one that changes my shutter speed. But it's so important for you to go ahead and figure that out so you can just jump to it and go back and forth to figure things out. So the first thing we're going to check is what's called your ISO. And that's basically your camera sensitivity to light. And I like the average one to shoot on is 400. But if you were to be in a really like a gym, if you were taking pictures in like your son's basketball game and it's really dark in there, you can take that ISO up. You can change it up to a pretty high number, but I'll warn you, with most cameras, the higher your ISO is, the more grainy your pictures are going to be. And some cameras are really good about not having as much grain at those highest ISOs, but it's something to just look at. And you can take a picture and zoom in really close to see if it's okay for you. But also don't forget to change it back whenever you're done, because that could really throw you for a loop too. And if I'm outside, if I'm shooting outside and it's really bright outside, I'll take my ISO down to 200, because the lower your ISO is, the better quality your picture has. So depending on your setting right now, change that. But we'll just stick with 400 right now. And the next thing that I look at is I'm going to set my aperture. And I'm going to take it down as low as it'll go. Mine on this lens is a 1.8. So, and it's the number that starts with, it says f/something. And basically what your aperture is and how your camera works is there are these little shutters on the inside that open or close, and whatever settings you tell it, the aperture is how big of the opening that is going to let the light in whenever you push the button to take the picture. And if that's at the lowest number, which mine is a 1.8, then that means that that's going to be really wide open, and that's going to let in the most light. So it makes sense that these prime lenses, their aperture can get that wide open, are really fast because they let so much light in, so then your shutter speed can fire much more quickly than if you had a lens that had the lowest aperture it could get is like a 3.5. But let's start with what you got. And the best thing to do is to set something up. Let me grab something. I'll show you. I'll use one of my film cameras. And put something a couple feet away from you. Make sure it's far enough to where it'll be in focus with your camera, where your camera can get a good focus on it. And so you've got your F number down as low as it'll go. So we're going to focus on that and take a picture. And then I want you to move it up a number or two and take a picture, And keep going as far as you can, and you'll see how more of the background becomes in focus as you move that number up to the higher aperture f-stop numbers. And whenever you're shooting people, if it's one person, then it's okay to shoot at the 1.8, and the pictures turn out to be really beautiful because that's when the background is really blurred out, and it's gorgeous, and you're isolated from your background, so it makes the picture look even better. But like if I'm shooting a group of people, then I will say with 2 people, I usually won't go lower than a 2.5, 2.8. And whenever you get up to like 4 people, I usually won't go lower than a 3.5. Yeah. So there was something that I was going to mention. I've had a really bad cold, so I'm on like cold medicine, so if I seem a little spacey, it's because I'm a little bit high on cough syrup. And I still sound like a man a little bit, but it's all good. Another thing that I found to be so helpful is to get with a group of people who are also interested in photography that live close to you, and get together, practice taking pictures of each other, swap advice and stuff that you found that works, or really good resources. And if you're in Georgia, I have a group called The Connection that I can add you in, and we're always in there saying, well, what company to use for this, or how can I fix this lighting situation, or where can I do this, or I need a second shooter, or somebody just to hold a reflector. And that's a really good way to get experience, and it's fun just to get to know other people who share your same hobby. So send me a request to hop in there if you're interested in that. And don't be afraid to ask people questions. Everyone starts out somewhere. I mean, even the best photographers at one point were like, aperture, shutter speed, what the heck does that even mean? So basically, whenever you take a picture, it's just finding the right balance between your aperture and your shutter speed, how much light you're letting in and how quickly that shutter is staying open. I remember. Okay. I want us to change so that, like, whenever you look into your camera, this is so important. You'll see that there are a couple little dots on most of your screens that has different places, like different focus points. And I want you to change that so that it's not like in auto mode where it automatically selects things to focus on. Because listen, this is a piece of equipment and you are a person with a great eye, and it's never good when the camera is setting the stage on what your picture's going to turn out. So we want to take that off of auto and make it so that it's a single point focus system. And what that is whenever you look in there and you hold the shutter down halfway, there will be one box highlighted, one little dot highlighted, and you move it around to select what you want to be in focus. And I usually shoot, not always, but a general rule of thumb is what's called a rule of thirds. If you were to break up a picture into 3, like, you generally don't want to center it all the time. Like, it's really good to, do it off in the first of the third or on the other side and move the box around. And whenever you're taking pictures of people, always focus on their eyes. And you may not be able to tell when you're looking on your LCD screen, but when you put it on your computer, you'll see a big difference if you're focusing on someone's eyes. And just get a friend or your sister or someone willing to put up with you. I'm very thankful for my friends and family that let me use them as test subjects along the way and ask them to do really weird stuff. So yes, look in your manual and find out how to change it, your focus to where it's single point focusing. And if yours is called something different, message me and I'll help you figure it out on your specific camera. but I haven't used this camera in a while, so it's hard for me to remember how to change that setting, because I haven't had on that setting since I first got my camera. But like on mine, I don't know if you can see it right now. Shoot, I passed the 10-minute mark. Okay, I'll pick back up with this in part 3. Okay, thanks.